Hey, Sonograver here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Logic Pro demo. We're going to be talking about drum loops today. Now, there are many ways of doing drum loops, but I'll just go ahead and show you what I've been working with in the composition process, really how I do things. So let's go ahead and get started because it is a kind of comprehensive process. We'll first go to our loop browser here, and you can click on it, or if you like shortcuts, you can hit the letter O and it will pop up. I'll go ahead and click it again. And instantly you can see from the top down we have all packs, or if you like different genres or styles, they have that selection for you here. But I tend to just kind of browse, loosely browse around. And there are a few categories. We have instrument, which I go to by default, genre, and descriptors. So descriptors, if you need something intense, dark, melodic, something with a groove, you can go ahead and hit that. And then if you want to get out of that, of course, you click it again. With genre, we have something like deep house, urban, jazz, funk. So if you have a specific instrumentation or idea in mind, that's pretty good to go to. And then also, really, the one I just choose is the instrumentation or instrument. And my reason for that is I just try to get inspired by something like beats. So we do have all sorts of instruments and synths and all that, but I just go for the beats. And so we hit beats, or if you want to get out of that, then we go ahead and deselect that. Now, already just in preparation for this demo, I did go ahead and check a few things down here. So if you do like something, you can go ahead and heart that. Anything you see grayed out here, I just haven't downloaded yet. But we've got the name of the loop. We've got how many beats it is. So, it goes between 8, sometimes 4, sometimes 16. I don't think it really exceeds 16. Sometimes it does, but that's kind of rare. And then I kind of ignore if it's in a minor scale or major scale because I really do work with rhythm exclusively. But you do have that option here. And you also have the time signature here. And also tempo, just the general tempo, which you can modify. But if you do, if it's a new project and you do drag a new beat in, it will default from, the default is 120 beats per minute to something like 140 here, and that would change. You can see actually here, this is 128 because of the beats that I am working with. So we'll get out of that, and I will go straight to the hearted section. So let us go ahead and pull these in to this window here. And we'll start with the downtown hook beat right here. And the reason why I selected that out of the library is I'm attracted to the sound of the kick. Really, this is pretty much the process. After selecting the loops that I want, I will go ahead and work inside the loop to see if there's anything I want to keep and anything I want to get rid of. And with this, I think I'm only going to keep the kick. So let's hear that again. And so with the marquee tool that's already selected, but it's the drop down arrow here, you can just go ahead and go to marquee tool. I will go ahead and actually just get that a little bigger there and probably select all this to really remove. Yeah. It's a nice sound and it has the kick, but I don't need it. And then here, I think I'm going to get rid of that as well. And then I think that's another kick. Yeah, it's a slightly softer kick depending on what I see with the waveform. And then I think all of this is the same material. So it is having a general sound here. This might be the same kick. Well, let's just go ahead and hear it. I think it has the same intensity. But just in case it doesn't, I'm just going to go ahead and keep this one. Well, let's hear it again just to see which one I like. All right, so it probably doesn't matter to most people, but I'm pretty selective in how things sound, so I'm going to get rid of this one. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull this back. There wasn't much of a difference in sound. This one sounds just ever so much tighter. is what I'm looking for. And that's what I prefer. A lot of people love a boomy kick. I know how that functions, and it's fine if you like that. I kind of tend to like the tighter kick. And actually, that's sometimes to my creative detriment because sometimes the kick comes out too thin after the mix. So I do have to be careful. But for all intents and purposes, we'll just have that nice kick like so. Now there is a little bit of a clip. We're just going to clean this up. Yeah, we can see that here. Just a tiny bit. It's kind of hard to see. Let's see if I pull. Yeah, if I pull that back, you can see that. So I'm going to go ahead and just move that, drag that back just a little bit, and just, you know, it's not really that necessary, but I tend to like to just fade out that little edge there. And so we have a very nice, yeah, that's good. And there's no EQ. This is not mixed. It's got just enough punch, that resonant punch, and enough depth. So that is all that I wanted for that downtown hook beat that you heard here. The next is this electro topper. Toppers, you know, they come in all sorts of loops and sample libraries, so I highly recommend utilizing your creative workflow with something like a topper, something that is more, it's either high end or just little fillers. And this has a nice sound to it. There's a lot of personality, and let's see if there are any sounds that I don't prefer. I do like a lot of these sounds anyway, though. So let's see with the kick how it sounds. Now, I think I like all these sounds. There is one sound, maybe you can take a guess, that I just don't prefer. It clutters it up just a little bit, or has the potential of cluttering up the sound. And that's this little thing here. I know for maybe some people it's not that big of a deal. In fact, you might want that extra little subdivision, you know, that little nuanced subdivision there right before, you know, beat 2 or beat 3. It is a small sound though, and I think it's too small. It could make it dirtier, a little dirtier than I would prefer. And I think there is more room for even smaller subdivisions of beats with other loops. So this here has a really nice sound that even just, it doesn't need a delay, it doesn't need a panner. It's just a very nice sound. Maybe just adding some sort of effect, like maybe some, I don't know, maybe a chorus effect or some sort of just additional effect that will make it sound very nice to the ears. All right, next one, let's hear how this sounds. So again, this one here has also some personality. There are some sounds I really like to keep, and then some sounds I think I would get rid of. So let's actually hear it just without this one here. So I do like these two here. I'm definitely keeping this sound right here. This is great. That's great. And also this filler here. Yeah, that has a lot of personality. Now you can see though, just by the waveform, they are lining up pretty much the same. Now, two sounds lined up together could be effective. It could be very nice. Maybe in this case, we'll see if I like both of them. I think that sounds pretty clean. All right, so already I like this personality as well. There is kind of a nice, hard, almost porcelain sound that is of a higher frequency that I do want to keep. And then there's also a beep, which also could be fun to keep. All right, so now it's getting a little muddy with all these things lined up. Let's hear it just by itself. This one is going to be a harder one to clean up, but let's see. I like that first beat right there. That's perfect. I love it. And it has a kind of a crash cymbal sound next to it. It's just a nice distorted sound. And then let's check this. Actually, just this by itself. That's It's good. It's good. Let's see this. This might not be picked up aurally speaking, so I'm going to actually get rid of that. Oh, that is kind of nice right there. Yeah, that is kind of nice. It's a small sound, but I think I can beef it up in volume, you know, turn up the gain there and work with that. This seems unnecessary. It's kind of quirky, it's kind of glitchy, but I don't think it's going to be picked up in the context of things, you know, the overall picture. Yeah, that might work pretty well. And then let's hear this by itself. Yeah, I'll keep this here. I'll actually remove this and then keep that last bit over there. You know, this is not always completed the first try. Sometimes I'll want to remove even more after the second or third draft, but this is kind of my process. Now let's see. This is lined, okay, this is lined up perfectly, like right after this hit, so I think that will be effective. Let's see where this is lining up. I would say that's pretty good too. So you can see the hit here right on beat 3, right? Right on beat 3. Oh, I'm sorry, this is right in between. Right before beat 3 in bar 2. And then here, this might be unnecessary, so let's hear that. Let's hear that without. Let's hear it with it again. I think that's fine. It has a nice slap, kind of just a higher frequency texture there that I really do like. So that's good. All right, let's continue, and then let's hear it with all of them together. Yeah, so far so good. Let me see what this here sounds like. Let's see. I think might be an echo. Ooh, well, you know, if it was just a little hit by itself, I would get rid of it, but it is that echo of that kind of roomy sound. It has like a nice, it's like a stick hitting another stick inside a concrete tunnel or something. It has a nice effect. So I do like that sound, so I'm not going to remove that smaller sound. All right, next we will go ahead and do the moving high topper. And this is 16 bars. I just realized it's not bars, excuse me, 16 beats. I'm going to move it over here. And I think it actually is just repeating 8 beats. It kind of looks the same. Let's hear it. Let's see if it's identical. You know, the 8 beats together side by side. Let's see if they're identical. I'm just going to go ahead and remove that. I don't think that is necessary. I think that's a perfectly fine 8-beat loop. Let's hear it together. I like that. It's kind of messy, but it's a good bit of structure there. I'm going to hear it one more time. So, okay, there are definitely sounds I do like. That all is very good. All these instruments inside this loop, you know, from the beat here to the subdivision here, it's very different from the other 4 tracks or other 3 topper tracks. And so I'm feeling okay to keep it all. This may change when I start separating all the instruments, but yeah, I think it's fine. I think we're good. And then finally, our last personality here. Let's mute all of this except these 2 down here. That is really nice. That is cleaner than I expected. Usually my drum loops, I want to get rid of a lot of sounds that I don't prefer, but this is pretty tight. Let's go ahead and add one more topper there. It is getting a little busy. You know, we'll see, we'll see. And actually, let me go ahead and get rid of that sound there. All right, it isn't bad. Now it's getting a little cluttered. Now we have all the main beats driving it. We've got the subdivisions inside the beats. And then we also have our little fillers from, you know, here with our topper number 4 and also here. And then also topper 2, electro topper 2, and then just a little bit here. And just a nice kind of, they aren't reverse sounds, but they just have a very nice, a fuzzy smooth, kind of like a very soft carpeted whoosh to it, which I really do like. All right, so this is my first step, you know, just bringing all the tracks together. So let me go ahead and give all these tracks, you know, a bit of color. This will be important because now I do want to separate some of these instruments inside the tracks. All right, now you can see that I have changed the track colors just to make it more visible, you know, between the instruments. And next is pretty important. I want to distinguish the instruments inside each track, because if it is different, if there's a difference, if there is a distinct sound between sounds inside a track, I actually want to have individual tracks for those individual sounds. So let's go ahead and do that. For this, I will use the scissors tool, and we'll start with the electro topper. Obviously, you can see this is the kick. It's the same instrument, so let's go ahead and just do that. Oh, I forgot the last part. There we go. And so I hear between 4 or 5 sounds, maybe 3 or 4 sounds. And so let's hear this one first. So this one and this one, they are different. So we're gonna do that. And I think this is the same as this here. Oh, excuse me. Well, no, that is also different. Let's try that, line that up. I like to put the playback head just right on the dividing line of the beats and subdivision of those beats, and then just kind of hit the scissors with that. Let's hear this one again. All right, so these two, I would say right here, this. Oh, well, it's got a hit and another instrument. Okay, so this is different. We have the same hit here, and it's just got a little bit of an echo from that last one, which kind of sounds nice. So I'll be careful with those. Let's move on. Okay, so that also is different. It sounds like a feathery brush, you know, on a cymbal. Just a little bit. That's the same, I think, a little bit more with this one. Oops, we didn't need that. Go ahead and get rid of that. And yeah, nice little hi-hat there. So try that. All right, and then here, and then another one. Actually, well, no, I think these two should probably be different. So, you know, I don't know. That was more than 5 sounds that I had heard when I divided them. So it could, you know, depending, I might be using up to 4 tracks with these different sounds. So we'll just keep them divided for now. Let's move on to topper number 4, and let's hear this. You can also see I did clean up just a little bit of unnecessary space, and also sounds I didn't end up liking. I guess some of the sounds I know won't translate that well in the mix in the future, so you got to have a little bit of foresight for that, if you know, the more you practice. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. All right, they're kind of close. This is different than this. Honestly, I kind of like this sound more than these here, these two here. That might be something I change later. Okay, that's obviously different. So at least 2 different sounds. And this actually, between these two are different. And then obviously this little filler here. Yeah, I like that. It's got a nice pitch to it. You hear a little bit of a melody there, you know, a tag of a melody. So we're keeping that. So I would say probably a good, you know, 3 or so tracks for this one. Let's move down to topper number 5. Okay, those are 2 distinct sounds. Yeah, yeah, they're kind of glitchy, you know? They've got that nice glitchiness. They are different though. Yeah, yeah. I want to make sure I'm lining those up. Yeah. You know what? I think this one, let me listen to this part again. Well, right here. Gosh, some of them are very similar in nature. I think here, yeah, right there. I'm actually gonna make that separate. This may stay, I'm not sure. It might not translate well into the mix. But for now, we're just gonna keep it just in case I want it later. So I would say these instruments here, all within this region here, I would say I would keep it in the same track for the same effects. And I'm kind of tempted to keep all of this topper with the same track and effects in the future. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And then moving on down, we've got moving higher topper. All of this is nice. I wanted to get rid of some sounds, and even with some delays I didn't care for, I'm thinking, no, it's so strong when this space is filled. So all of this track is going to stay. Let's see some different instruments we can distinguish. So at least that's kind of a given. Oh, let's see. It starts, that hit starts right there. Yeah. Let's hear it right before. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I might still divide it in even sections there. That is, yeah, these are kind of separate. That's nice. Yeah, this region right here is nice. I should probably make this a little wider. Yeah, nice little subdivision there. These might have their own separate tracks here. Yeah, they're pretty distinguished from these hits. So I'll just go ahead and prep that. I know I'm going to want that. And I actually would count this as one unit, one instrument as a filler. So give or take probably 3 to 4 tracks. So as with moving higher topper, the tribal hat topper is just all good. So, and it's pretty uniform in sound. There's definitely that what would you call it? It'd be it's not a kick. It's kind of a tom effect. It sounds quite nice actually. That it's soft, but it still has enough punch. And it's these 2 right here, I think. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Let me listen to that by itself. Oh, it's this. And then this is by itself. So we have here, yeah, so that nice crash. Oh, very nice crash sounding instrument. And then the 2. So let me go ahead. I'll probably divide those regions a little bit less. So here's the crash. Yeah, and this is one instrument right here. This is one effect. Yeah, I'm not seeing more than 1 or 2 for this instrument here. So that is step number 2, where I take every individual track, look at the instruments, and see what instruments are different from one another and if they need their own separate track for effects or gain, change, and all of that. So moving on to step number 3. Okay, now you can see that a few of these tracks have been expanded to 3 or 4 tracks with very distinct instrument sounds. So my electric topper 2 has now 1, 2, 3, 4 additional tracks, still with the same designated color, so I remember which track it is. but we have now this Hall effect sound, a hi-hat, a closed hi-hat, and a filler here at the end. For Topper 4, I decided to add a couple more tracks with maybe kind of a sub kick sound. It's like this subharmonic kick sound and a bit of a shuffle here. Notice that Topper 5, it's this glitchy sound that really has the same nature throughout. So if I do any effects, I don't think applying any effects would have too much variance there. So I'm happy to keep it as one individual track. And then moving higher Topper, I was very surprised how distinct some of these sounds were. So we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tracks, 7 tracks of this color. We have a crash. We have kind of this reverse slap. We have this tom instrument here. It only comes once, every couple of bars. This is just a couple of bars, so it will come again. But it does deserve its own track. And then we also have a very distinct hit that also occurs once every couple of bars. Then we have this nice little shuffle sound that is kind of a shaker sound, but really is kind of sounding more like a hi-hat. And then also another filler there. And then our last track, the tribal hat topper. I really do love the uniformity of the sound. I think it's really just one instrument, so I do feel any effects could be applied to all of this instrument effectively. So now, I did actually clean up a lot of the noise, the extra filler noise, when I did isolate the individual sounds. And not only in that, I applied a few faders. You can see some faders here. If I expand the tracks just a little bit, some fader sounds. And more than that, there were some sounds that were the same hit, the same instrument, but I didn't like every instance of that sound. So I got rid of, 2 or 3 of those instances and then just kept one sound and then replaced it, by adding the MIDI block, that one MIDI block consecutively. So working with the same sounds there just to get an ever cleaner effect. So this is how I work with drum loops starting out a piece of music. This is part of the structural process. And I don't want to really apply any effects or do anything much in the mix until the structure is completed. So of course, this is just 2 bars of loops right now. It would effectively change with more loops, more instruments, maybe removing some of these instruments, maybe including some of these instruments at a later time in the music's recapitulation. And then after the structure is done, I would work with effects, delay effects, filters, and all that great stuff in the mix, including the mastering process. So this is the basics as far as how I work with the loops, and I hope you've been inspired that you can actually get some really cool sounds if you have Logic Pro. Also, I just highly recommend any good loop sound library, and Ghost Hack is one of those sound libraries I would highly recommend as far as rhythmic loops. So there's a recommendation for you. I might work with those sounds for you in the future. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this rather long video. Until I see you next, keep producing that good music you love, and I will see you later.